Okay, now let's talk about setting up Node.js. This stuff is gonna become practical because we're getting into GraphQL. And in order to do a lot of things, you can't run queries in GraphQL playgrounds all the time, right? Sometimes you're gonna have to set up a web server and you're gonna use Postman. So I'm not gonna get all in depth into that. Let's go ahead and just focus on setting up our web server, right? So in order to set up a web server on iOS, we're gonna use Visual Studio Code and Node.js. But we're just going over the basics of how to set it up, and then in the next video we're going to just run a basic hello world. But this should be everything you need to go ahead and get the ball rolling. So basically, what is Node.js? Node.js is a runtime environment that lets you run JavaScript code on the server side rather than in a browser. It's commonly used for building web services, web servers, and backend applications. So in the context of Xcode and iOS mobile development, Xcode is Apple's integrated development environment used primarily for developing iOS apps. iOS development typically involves writing code in Swift or Xcode, Objective-C, creating apps run on iPhones or iPad. Yeah. You know this. So how does Node.js relate to this? While Node.js is not directly involved with iOS app development, within Xcode, it can play a role in the broader ecosystem. And again, we're talking about creating APIs where you make calls and they have responses. Okay? Which means, in layman's terms, you want data. You aren't getting it from your app, you're getting it from a server far away. You make an API call to a program that runs on a server and it sends you back. Usually JSON response, right? But in our case, perhaps it could be a GraphQL response. So in essence, while Xcode and iOS development focus on building apps that run on the device, Node.js can be used to build the server-side components that the app interacts with. And this is our diagram, right? So right here, we have our iOS application. This is an app that we make, right? And then it sends a call to the API. And that call can be just a URL with query strings attached to it. And this returns the associated information in a JSON string format, right? And of course, this API is created using Node.js and Visual Studio. But yeah, I mean, we created this using Node.js and Visual Studio. It goes here, it processes our call, and then it comes back to our iOS application. So let's say this again. We make our request, it goes here, boom, boom, does whatever processing and sends it back. But remember, at the end of the day, a while back, we created this using Node.js and Visual Studio Code. Okay. Now let's talk about the instructions for downloading Visual Studio Code. You're gonna download Visual Studio Code for Mac from their official website, which is right here. I'll put it down in the description. And this is what the web page looks like. This is the Visual Studio Code right here. You're gonna download, and of course you have different versions. You have to make up your mind what you need. I say Mac OS Universal right there. Okay. Another thing, then you have Node.js. You need to install Node.js on your computer as well. Um, in the case, I can't remember, I'm drawing a blank a little bit, but in the case that they ask you which Mac you're using, the M1 or the Intel chips, you gotta remember, if you aren't sure which one, you need to look at your abouts, about this Mac here, and figure out which one. Mine's Intel. 9 times out of 10, if you don't know which one it is, it's Intel, because if you order an M1. People specifically order M1s there. It's more expensive and they're faster. Right? I want an M1, but I can't afford one. So, yeah. So you're going to go back here. You're going to download, open it up in your browser. And extract the contents. Double click in the browser, select the magnifying glass icon with Safari, drag the Visual Studio Code app to your applications folder. And this is all stuff you're probably familiar with. If not, you can come back to this video and reference these steps, but I'm pretty sure you can do it without the steps. Okay, so let's see. Now, let's check to see if NPM and Node.js are installed. So NPM is a package manager for JavaScript programming language. It is maintained by NPM Inc. and serves as the default package manager for JavaScript runtime environment Node.js. NPM allows developers to install and manage software libraries that they can use in their projects. These libraries can range from utility functions to complex framework applications. So, you want to check to see if you have NPM installed. You're gonna go in this version, and it's simple. And if you have NPM, it's gonna give you a version number, right? So, just for illustration's sake, let's go back here. Boom, boom, and you're just gonna say, just say NPM -B. Right? That means I have it installed. Okay? And vice versa. Okay? So let's go back. Here. Same thing with Node. Node.js, you want to check if Node.js is installed? Node-V. Right? And so these are what you get if they're installed. If you're not, reference the instructions before, right? Now, oh, by the way, yes, so if these, right, that was for, sorry, getting confused. I gave you the instructions to download or install Visual Studio. Okay, so again, if you need to install your node, you can also do this. You can do brew update, brew install node. That's it. You can check if they're installed by running these commands. Okay. So basically you have two ways of installing Node, right? Go back here. Then I show right. So you can do here, Node.js here, right? Or you can follow. Okay. You can follow. Do your brew install Node. Okay. Simple as that. All right, now let's on to the next. Now let's make sure that VS Code CLI is added to your path. So that's another thing. Without you want your VS Code CLI added to your path because it allows you to open up VS Code in the directory that you're working. So the command works like this. You go to the directory that you need to and open it up. So let me exit out of here and I'm going to show you. So do I have my VS Code is not running. I'll go here and let's see what my directory is. So this is where my directory is actually located. My simple node app that we're going to be working on, right? And so if I want to open it, I'll do this. And now VS Code opens, and this is the project that we're working with. However, this will not work if your VS Code CLI is not added to your path, right? If you want to do that, what you do is this. Okay, you're gonna go back to VS Code. You're gonna open up VS Code. Of course, you can't open it up using your terminal. You're gonna go to your, you're gonna go to your applications or your app bar. You're gonna click on there, and then you're gonna say, once it's open, you're gonna say Command Shift P. Command Shift P, and then you're gonna say shell command install. Shift install command path and click enter. That will add it to your command path. Now I've already done that. I'm not going to do it again. So that's why my code period works. Again, right here, launch VS Code, Shift Command P, right? Install the code command, and then just click enter. That's how you do that, right? You select it and click enter, and then you close your terminal up, then restart it, and then you should be able to run the command, no problems. Okay. Sorry. And yeah, that's it for now. The next video, we're going to focus on your setting up your web server, explaining how web servers work, your ports, port convention, and running your hello world. On to the next.